Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Olli-Pekka, for accepting our invitation, and welcome to our third Experiential Learning Conference. If we stay in the theme, if we remain in the theme, what do you think is impactful in education if we develop the experiential learning opportunities in the local schools and international schools?
I think that, first of all, kind of the experiential learning approach in a world that is constantly changing and where there's a lot of uncertainties, things are not kind of predictable beforehand. The ability to learn constantly through doing yourself, experiencing the world becomes more and more important. International schools should not be kind of separate of the local cultures, but they should always be embedded in the local culture, and that's also the IB approach, that although we value the international mindedness and the capabilities to cope in a global reality, we very strongly believe that it's the local culture and languages that need to be in the bottom of the learning journey.
Thank you very much. You also have seen some of our students organizing the Festival of Olli, so they move themselves in an uncomfortable zone, and they were able to discuss about three main topics that they are actual topics, which they're going to have some plans. What are your thoughts about these major problems, issues, sustainable global issues in this region, or even worldwide, because it's not just about the region, but it's a worldwide issue from.
I think the topics of climate change, the gender inequality and conflict resolution, they are in top of mind of young people all over the world. And I think it is clear that it's very natural that that's the case, because we're talking about those young people's future, and they understand that those are topics that will be impacting what kind of possibilities they will be having. And luckily I was very happy to hear that with students in this school, they were not only kind of thinking about themselves, but they were also thinking about the generations that come after them, which is a very, very valuable worldview. And while kind of hearing from the young people how they were talking about kind of discovering those matters as to find ways to act, to make a change, that's a huge learning lesson that there is in that, to build that identity of a change maker and the agency to do things. And that's what we were hoping that the Festival of Hope at its best could exceed.
Yes, thank you. Thanks a lot. Yesterday it was a hectic day with many different things and many different people you met because you're for the first time here in Azerbaijan. You also met the Deputy Minister of Education. So what are future thoughts or future plans that the IB can implement in this area, or in what way the IB can support and help the governmental institutions?
I think it was very interesting, first of all, to hear the plans and the goals that there are set in the education policy in the nation. And like there were ideas about, of course, the kind of vocational path, how to strengthen that path, and the questions of kind of teacher training, how to help those things, and then the kind of STEM emphasis. I think those are all areas where the IB approach can be of support. The way, for example, that we're doing the professional development, we are not only thinking about kind of giving those kind of opportunities for IB teachers, but also for non-IB teachers in the future. It is quite a typical method these days that we have a lot of agreements with different governments where the government actually wants to bring IB schools in order to have an impact on their public system. And that's the kind of collaboration that we are also looking for here in Azerbaijan.
One more thing, one more question that I want to ask you is about, as a former musician, and I know from your background that you were a former musician too. So what do you think, in what way the arts or the different languages can have an impact in nurturing future generation?
I think we are kind of, each era brings with it kind of good sides and bad sides. We are kind of now in an era of kind of post, maybe kind of information or knowledge society, where the main thing was kind of knowledge as kind of pieces of information, and how we can utilize the mental capacity of human beings. Those are very valuable things, but they're not the whole story. Like science cannot explain what's the purpose of life. But when we come to the question of music, we come to the question of poetry, we come to the question of dance, then we're coming closer to the abilities for us to understand that what's the purpose of life, and also be capable of imagining a better world and have again that agency to try to reach that better world. And that kind of a holistic education that values the sciences, the maths and kind of other sciences, but then also values the arts, and understand that those things need to come together for us, because we are also, as humans, we are holistic, complex persons, so all those different parts of humanity needs to be nurtured. And of course, when talking about languages, language is it's actually a technology. It's a tool, but it's more than a tool, because each language bears with it also a worldview. And an interesting question in these times is that, are there things that we should also need to kind of relearn how we use language to maybe better describe the reality as it is? We are using the language, but in a way language is always kind of using us. And we would need to learn from other languages, maybe from kind of indigenous ways of seeing the world and languages, that maybe how can we better cope of understanding what it truly means in these times to be human.
That's powerful, thank you very much. Last question that I want to highlight, that this is the first time that IB General Director is coming to this part of the world. This has a huge impact for us, and not for us as a school, but for us as a region, that I can see with my other colleagues. So they were here to listen to you, they were here to listen to your presentation, they were here to be in contact with you as they see you as a main contact with the IB. So what do you think is going to be the effect of your presence here, not only in Azerbaijan, but in this part of the world?
I think, first of all, it's kind of how me coming here has happened. It's really a question that you have done in this region so interesting things that pulled me here. That the great development and kind of course, the conference, the theme, bringing all these people from these countries together in the Caucasus and the Central Asian region under the association, IB association. It's such a strong thing that this is where I need to be. This is exactly my task. And it's not kind of only that what kind of IB or myself can bring here, but it's also what the IB and myself can learn from you have done here. Again, from your worldview, your language, culture, what we can incorporate in the IB thinking, because we want IB to be truly a global education system, and that means that it cannot be kind of having maybe a kind of a limited view of the world, and that's why I felt so valuable and was lucky enough to have this ability to come over.
So linking with what you were mentioning about the Festival of Hope and all the 3 themes that some of our students they discussed with you. Azerbaijan is going to host in November COP29. So what are your thoughts about the COP29 and in what way we can support the adults to understand that we urge to make a change in the world?
First of all, congratulations for Azerbaijan for getting the chance to host that very, very central meeting. I think that it's the question that maybe coming back to the impact that the young people are having, because they don't have the mental maps kind of locked what they have learned earlier, but their minds are more open, seeing the reality as it is. And they are seeing that the way we treat the nature, the human resources and the natural resources, it's not sustainable. So we should kind of again hear from them that what are their views, what should be done, and then support those ideas to be implemented in practice. And of course, I think that the COP29 will bring the views of that global reality and the international mindedness, also having people who have an education, who are capable of kind of understanding different cultures, understanding how to agree and disagree in a non-violent way. I think again that is something that the IB schools in the area has a strong role to play.
So thank you very much, and we look forward to see you back in the next few months.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to that.
Thanks a lot, Mr.